I find it pretty funny. Um, and I absolutely love it. First time I saw it when I was loading in chunks to try to minimize lag for everybody, I was like, that's more than likely where I'm living. If I don't find anywhere else when I get on the server later, this is gonna be where I live. And I didn't find anywhere better. So this is it. Um, use a waterlogged slab to prevent freezing over. I could, but I also really enjoy the look of a good greenhouse, you know? I also have a lot of room to myself up here. A lot of room to do things. Um oh, okay. Let me do that. So as you see, there's this whole area, right? Okay, I'm gonna send it anyway, because I don't want to delete that whole thing. But as you see on the map, there's all this, right? Now there's a defined outline to it. And that is because if we go over here, there's a waterfall over here that I used to get up here. Um, Sometimes whales come up it. Oh my god, the top of the waterfall's frozen over because it's all source blocks. Luckily, the waterfall itself won't freeze. Um, but sometimes whales come up this as well. So if we go down it, I am quite literally living in the sky. Like, I wish I was joking when I say I'm living in the sky. Like, you can't see my house because my render distance is so low. Oh my god. But yeah, occasionally, every once in a while, a whale will just glow squids. No fucking way. Hold the fucking phone. I'm getting a couple of these guys. Um, oh yeah, okay. But every once in a while, a big ass whale will just go up the will just go up the waterfall, and I'll just hear him. I'll just hear a whale. I think first time I realized that it was like an island above me. Um, I did in fact see a whale going up the waterfall. Damn it, he's getting away from me. Also, I think my boat got dragged under. It did. My boat is gone. Damn it. They took my boat. Those bastards. It's okay. Um. Oh my god, I see it. My boat! My boat! I'm coming, boat! Oh, look at it on the ocean floor. I got it! I can make it, 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 I can make it. Oh! Hell yeah. Okay. I'm not too worried about the greenhouse thing either, because I'd prefer a greenhouse because of the aesthetic. And I found so much fucking food on the way over here that I really don't have to worry too much. Um, when it was just Lillie and I on the server earlier, um, I sent Lillie the cords for. Oh no! A fox killed the chicken that Lillie was bringing to their base. Um, but I sent Lillie the cords to this like castle village area that I saw on the way over here. There are two on the way to my base. I raided one, and I felt so bad that there were two of them. That I sent the other one's coordinates to Lillie because I was like, I don't need two of these because it has so much good shit. Not like horrendously good shit, um, but good enough, you know. Um, yeah, like it doesn't have diamonds and stuff, but it has typical village stuff, and then it has like a shit ton of food and things like that. Really good stuff to start out with. So I was spinning almost lag boated. Oh no, not the monument. Look at this. My little No ponds everywhere, frozen over. What? What season is it? Mid-autumn. Okay, no wonder it's starting to freeze. We're not at the freezing point just yet, but we're getting there. So we have time, but we are gonna want to hurry. Is what I'm reading. The nice thing too is the majority of the wood up here is dark oak. There are a couple trees that I brought up here. If you don't have a calendar, you can search in JEI and have your. Ooh, I forgot that you can make a calendar. Um, calendar. Holy shit, that's really cool. How do you make this actually? Paper and a clock. Oh, I don't have a clock, but I could probably make that. Do I have redstone? Like I said, I found a lot of shit, but I don't know if the place had redstone. I know it had gold. Redstone though. It had a lot of candles, and I'm very happy about that because I want to decorate my place with candles. I had several smithing tables, so if anyone wants a smithing table, let me know. I grabbed them all for no fucking reason. No, I don't have redstone. But that is really handy. Thank you. They 4 out of 8. Okay, so we're not in horrible danger, but we're closing in. But that's only mid-autumn. So then we're gonna be in late autumn, I'm assuming. So it's 8. Is it 8 days per part? So it's early autumn, mid-autumn, late autumn, I'm assuming. You know all the little tricks, Queen. It's so fucking wild. I also need to go get sand, some glass, because I have zero. Okay. Whee. Oh, this is 2? Oh, wait, no, no, no. Wait, I'm confused. What do I do here? Oh, it is 2. Yeah. Oh, the score. Fucking love these guys. I can't see. Need more torches. Although I'm running out of coal. I'm still eating dinner. I've been very slowly eating dinner. Dude, past. Oh, I shouldn't have. Whoops. The past couple days, I think, I've been so slow eating dinner. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I've just been really distracted, but like no matter what I'm doing, it takes me so much longer to eat dinner than it usually does. Like whether I'm at the uh the dining halls or back in my dorm room. It's so weird. Usually I'm not a slow eater because I'm in a family of 7 at one house. So like it's usually, eat pretty fast or if you're still hungry, too fucking bad. I'm trying to find a good tree to chop down because, like, a lot of these are pretty big. It's hard to chop them down completely because there's always like little branches hidden off to the side that you can't fucking see. Um, hmm. I also really like how this one overhangs. It's also kind of saving that one. What's this? What's this guy? Low bush. I've got a couple trees that weren't up here that I brought up because I originally thought that I was gonna use other kinds of wood for the walls, and then I vetoed that when I found some white terracotta. So it's also pretty big up here. Like there's a lot of space to do stuff with. Come on. There we go. Trying to jump out of it and I'm slipping and sliding everywhere. Wumbo. Oh no. The snow. Wumbo. Wumboing. Oh shit, there Lillie goes. Dude, Lily's ahead of all of us. They didn't I don't even think they have a house yet. And they were down mining. Like they have an axolotl and shit going off down there. But it's daytime. Oh. What? Ow. Oh, I tried to step in water and there wasn't even any there. I would have been done for. Whoopsies. I gotta say, while the world gen is a little funky on this one, um, we've got some really cool places. And we've got a shit ton of jungle and savannah, which I'm really fucking excited about because I can go looking for my elephants. And, what? That's really cool. But apparently 8 already has an elephant. So, I want our elephants to have a play date. I'm gonna get a monkey. All the things that I wanted in the other world that I couldn't find, that I've already found in this world and just didn't get yet because I didn't have a house. They're also going to be impossible to get up here, but I'm going to make it work. Just a series of impossibilities, but it's fine. I would also go to bed at 10, if I'm being honest. I've gone to bed as early as 8, but that's typically happened because of migraines. I usually don't go to bed that early when I'm, like, tired or whatever. Even if I had, like, work the next day, I don't think I would be one of those people to go to bed that early. I vastly underestimated how much of this I would need. Holy shit. Make a door. We also have a lot of really cute signs. I want to make a sign for my house. Let's look at these. I don't even know what you need for them. I think I want to make one of these. So it's just a regular sign with pink dye. Well, it's not showing regular sign. Let me see what it cycles through. Oh, accepts any Farmer's Delight canvas sign. So it has to be a canvas sign. How do you make a canvas sign? 4 planks, canvas, and a stick. How do you make canvas? Straw. You make straw. Okay. Thank you. The cutting board. No. Incorrect. Recipe. We're not listening to Ribs by Lord. No! 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 Fuck! I couldn't exit fast enough. Fucking creepers. There's so many creepers up here. That's the one thing that's shitty about up here. There's so many goddamn creepers. I saw it coming too. God damn it. Who's gonna save me from myself? Tell me who's gonna save me from this hell? This is not enough. I love the leaves up here. They're nice, like, maroonish color. That out here. Oh yeah, I was like, do we not have any more dirt? The answer is no. The answer might surprise you. Gotta make all new tools. Cool. Other than that little mishap, the house is coming along pretty nicely, honestly. Just gotta steal some dirt from around the island. Damn, how poetic. See, I'm not. Oh, wait. Maybe I am. I was gonna say, you see, I'm not gonna wear that snuggie because I'm gonna be turned to ashes that just end up either in like the sky or turning into something else because I want to be cremated. But I don't know where my ashes are gonna end up when they get scattered. You know, maybe they'll end up in someone's lungs, like in that episode of 911. If you haven't watched that episode of 911, these two guys are trying to scatter their friend's ashes, and right when they open the bag and go to scatter them, the wind picks up, and this guy, one of the two friends, he inhales the ashes, or as he called them, cremains, I think is what he called them, or something. And he got a nice lung full of ashes. So I could end up in someone's lungs. One last hoorah. um, I could end up in the ocean, alongside some fish. I could end up ending. I could end up actually being in that snuggie unwillingly because the wind just took me there. You never know. Do you think that's inadvertently what like army men mean when they say hoorah? Like they're trying to say hurrah, but they're like hoorah? Like they're just confused. They're just a little confused. Well, it's dark out, so let me sleep. Into the Chuck E. Cheese ball pit. Dude, my hometown doesn't even have a Chuck E. Cheese anymore. Our Chuck E. Cheese got shut down. It was just one of those Chuck E. Cheeses that they shut down because like there were a bunch that uh got got creamed. I'm trying to think of a different word, but I couldn't think of a different one. So my brain supplied creamed, um, and nothing else. But yeah, it was just one of the ones that they were like, yeah, we don't need this one anymore. Close it. Um, so it's closed. Wait. Hmm. I don't know if it's been. I don't know if it's been replaced. Do you think the Chuck E. Cheese robots are still in there? Ooh, that's spooky. Ooh, that's spooky, spooky. Eight! Oh my god, eight's eight's heading up toward my house. No one's come to visit me yet. I'm so excited. Hmm. Hmm. No way. Hey!
Never mind. Hi, August.
What were you saying?
I went, I think August hates me.
Yeah, I actually despise you.
Yeah, I know it. I'm on my way with my family.
With your family? How big's
Yeah,
your family?
about well, there was 3. Um, yeah.
Oh
There's
no, tiger growls.
oh, but hey, August, do you know about the village near you on fire?
No. Hello, tiger.
Well,
Oh
you
yeah,
have a
you take a
village
nap
near
on.
you.
Yeah, you take a nap under that tree. Um,
In which is on fire.
I didn't know that. Is it the village you just left?
No, it's the village I'm at on the map right now.
Well, that's not a village. That's like a castle at a village
Oh,
thing. I
same thing.
I thought I put that fire out. I saw a fire at it, and I thought I put that out.
No, I believe it's still
Actively on
inflamed.
fire? Oh no.
Yeah, it's a really nice village too. Wow.
Yeah, loot that if you can, if it's still lootable. I told Lily about it because I felt bad because I had looted another one that's exactly like it, and I got a lot of really good shit.
Mm.
Well, not like really, really good shit, but like enough that it's substantial when you're starting
Yeah, I
out.
think you looted this one. I got candles from this one.
That one I did not loot.
Oh yeah, I found all the food. I found a golden apple.
I looted the
Steak.
I looted the one closer to spawn.
Mm. I did not see one closer to spawn,
Hmm.
but I do believe you.
Thank
Oh
you.
shit, a lead.
It's a
Sorry.
Queen. Queen goes, and I think quoted you. It's a really nice fire though.
So real. Oh, they got bees here? Wow. This is a
Damn.
high fucking class village.
Oh
Damn.
yeah, the apiary,
Mm-hmm.
the like whole glass thing.
More
Yeah.
like a bee area.
Uh.
Got 'em.
Oh shit.
Anyways, elephants are really cool.
Yeah. Do you have like anything on your elephant yet?
Um, I mean, I gave him some clothes. Um, give him a lot.
Yeah.
I can't let my boys be naked.
So
That's
true.
just impolite. Like,
What color clothes?
black. He's emo.
Oh, right, right. Just like his dad.
Of course. Like father, like son.
Yeah. No other way to be.
And I have an absurd amount of items on me.
Mm. So, are you gonna want to
Um,
stay with me for a while?
I might.
Okay.
Because I currently am living life as a nomad.
Of course, of course. I'm almost finished with my house, so perfect timing.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Got a
immediately
guest
start.
bedroom?
There can be one.
Let's go.
校舎の裏そうだ恋愛モードやっぱ私じゃないだけどあなたのために頑張るいつ
I'm
の
gonna.
日にか
Oh my god.
Sorry, if you're saying anything, I can't hear
Rest in peace.
ハピハピハッピプレゼントあなたにハッピープレゼント分かってほしいのこの気持ちあなただけよ永遠のマウスハピハピハッピプレゼントあなたに全部捧げる I love you いつか終わるのねえ抱きしめてほしい片思い
Okay. Sorry. What'd you say?
Welcome back. I don't remember now.
But
I
yeah,
don't know.
there can be a guest bedroom.
Nice.
Once I finish the house, I'm gonna start working on the greenhouse for us.
Ooh. I'll make a. Then take the hike over here too.
Perfect.
Just
There's
'cause
there's
I'm
enough room that if you guys want to live nearby again, you can too.
Yep.
It's a
I
little
like
bit
living near people.
it's a little bit inconvenient getting your animals up there.
Ow! Fuck!
But what happened?
A bison, like. A bison just killed my freaking raccoon!
Oh no! Look, you're gonna be nice, right? You're gonna be chill? Oh! No! That's not chill!
Oh,
Why am I
boy.
stuck?
I now have a family of one.
He just beat the shit out of me and then slept. What the
Well,
fuck?
like me for real.
This tiger was totally chill, and then I got up close to see if he was gonna continue to be chill, and he beat the fuck out of me. And then as soon as I went to my house, he just went and took a nap.
Yeah, that's some 8 activities if you ask me.
So you had a raccoon, and then no, don't do it again.
Yeah, a bison just fucking murdered him.
Damn.
Like, I got kind of close to the bison, it like bucked me, and like I accidentally got close too. It wasn't even purposefully. Got close and it bucked me, so my raccoon started fighting.
Oh, not the raccoon fighting. That's cute, but damn.
Now he's dead.
Oh, poor raccoon fighting on your behalf, only to
I know.
get his ass beat.
So proud.
True.
He was such a strong warrior.
He was.
He was my first friend here on the SMP.
Aww.
Forever will miss him.
You see, Queen, I don't think I would have the disappointed look if you wouldn't have used it right when we were talking.
Found a boat.
Found a boat?
Yeah, like one of the broken, like, old ones. The
Ooh.
shipwrecks.
R.I.P. Mr. Raccoon. May you eat in heaven's dumpsters now.
So real.
So real. Oh wait, why am I getting dirt? I literally have. What are they called? I have scaffolding.
Emotionally.
I found it in the castle.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I didn't go in the castle. I have other places to be, like your house.
True.
I'll see if I can put the elephant in a boat. Because
Yeah,
we're about to, like...
If you can't, that's fine. I'll just get a shit ton of um dirt and we'll make a bridge.
Oh, gosh.
It'll be quite the bridge.
I fully believe so. Because they have quite the large hitbox, so...
I'm gonna
I don't know.
find it very funny if your elephant can fit in the boat.
Can you go in the boat?
I have a feeling it's not gonna be able to fit in the boat because Alex's mom's thought ahead.
I don't think so. I think he's unboatable.
That's upsetting.
I know.
How close are you? Oh, you're
Um,
right at the shore. Okay.
Yeah, it's an ocean, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, go further right so we can get you as close as possible. Yeah, just keep following the shore until you're diagonal, since you can see me on the map.
Yeah.
That way we have, like, the shortest possible distance to make it.
Yeah. Because I have leads, so I might put him on a lead.
Oh, yeah, that'd probably work better. I'll come meet you. I'll go to sleep quick. But I'll come meet you and kind of come with you so that while you're leading him, nothing will come kick your ass.
Yeah.
Oh my! Oh, you motherfucker! The tiger's outside my door now.
Where do you live?
In the sky.
Oh.
I thought I said that.
More than likely you did. Well, cause then I like went and recorded videos with
Ah,
Father Creative. He was like, host the hot wings, and I was like, if you say so, sir.
hot wings.
Yeah, you know the game,
He's doing
the
his
fuck
own
you,
hot
bird.
wings.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So you know the game show, not the game show, but like the show where you sit down with like a celebrity. It's like Hot Ones.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. That's why I keep calling it Hot Wings.
Yeah, hot wings.
Um, and so I got to host it
Mhm.
while they ate uh what's it called? Wings.
Mhm.
And it was actually chicken nuggets, but it's same thing.
Mhm. Oh, there's a whale. There's a.
Horrific.
Is there whale? Stop it!
A whale of a good time.
Oh my god. There's a whale in the waterfall.
What a goof.
They do this. Oh, there's two. They do this where they like fucking. They get in the waterfall. They don't know what they're doing, and then they die in the waterfall.
What silly, silly geese. Oh, glow squid. Oh,
Yeah.
underwater thing.
Hmm? Oh
Yo,
my
yo,
god,
yo,
I
yo,
see her.
yo.
Hey.
Hey, I'm a lovely man in the ocean. You
Okay,
live
calm
in a
down.
magical area. Wow.
Do you see? Can you see up there or no?
Not yet,
Okay.
but
I don't think you'll be able to see it until we go up there, but come, come. I don't even know if he'll be able to come up unless we do stairs, but it's okay.
likely not, but
I'm prepared for that likelihood. I'll get shit if we have to.
so dark.
I hate to break it to you, Abe, but they're whales, not geese. Oh, Guardian
They're
Farm would have been fun.
they're whales. What
Yeah,
the
apparently.
fuck?
We could try to ride him up. Oh, you're bringing him up. Okay. I didn't know
I
what you
mean,
were gonna do there.
I don't know. You know, if you made it into an elevator. Oh
Oh,
shit.
oh,
Oh shit.
oh! Oh, he come.
You know, it wasn't bad with him on a lead because he isn't as slow. Oh shit.
All good?
Yeah.
Okay. Luckily, the whales died before you got here, so there's no obstructions on the waterfall.
Yeah.
Oh, I fell. I wasn't paying attention. Once you get to the top, just be careful because it's starting to ice over. So you have to actually like watch what you're doing.
Oh shit.
Did you break off? Oh, there he is. Okay. Calm down, sir.
Hey, he has anxiety.
Oh, I hear him. He's freaking out a little.
We have to be a bit careful with him.
You just pushed him. Careful, you say. Pushes him.
Look, I just lost the leads to the water.
Oh no. Hey, bud. Oh, you okay?
Yeah.
Hi, buddy. Yeah, I know. It's a little scary, huh? Okay, let's.
You building him a little platform?
No, I'm trying to dig him out a little bit. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He just went up one.
Yeah. I don't know if he knows what to do with himself sometimes.
He's just too big. He's just a big guy who doesn't fully know
I
what to do with his
know.
size.
He's silly.
Maybe I should make him a platform. Hold on.
Yeah.
Here, I have a shit ton of cobble. Let me use some cobble. Probably shouldn't be running around Willie. Oh, okay. Cool. The tiger's not near me. That's fine. I was gonna say probably shouldn't be running around willy-nilly when I
Jesus
don't know where the tiger is.
Christ.
But the
I
tiger's
see
safe.
what you mean by the whales now.
Yeah. Oh my god! That is the most there have ever been, actually. Oh, sorry, sir. Didn't mean to push you. Oh, wow, he's got a lot.
Yeah, my backpack's full.
Oh, I didn't even notice you had back. Oh, backpack.
Yeah.
Okay, whales, not helping. Not helping. I hate everything about you. Go away. Are you making him a staircase?
Mayhaps.
Why
Hello?
are you gay?
Hello.
Hello?
Why are you...
Ah,
Fuck, why is it not working? Help?
hello?
Hello.
Hello? Oh,
Hello?
the volume is at full. I don't know why it's doing this. Anyway, that's all.
Oh,
Okay.
how kind. Do you have blocks?
Mm-hmm.
No, I just checked you. I was talking to the elephant.
Oh,
Don't
of
worry.
course.
I need to name the elephant.
Oh, you haven't named him yet?
No, because then I'm scared I'll get attached.
Oh, I'm so sorry, buddy. Your hitbox is very odd.
Agreed.
Name him Jesus.
I'm not gonna name him Jesus. Just because he knows how to walk on water doesn't mean he's Jesus, guys.
Come on, bud. Move over.
L plus ratio plus
Is this you telling me to check our server?
perhaps.
Okay.
Anyway, your mother.
My mom's dead.
Come on, mate.
Hate British people sometimes, you know?
That's fair. Oh, hello, sir. How do you get on him?
Carefully.
Oh. He shook his head no.
Yeah.
He really said nope.
Shit.
It's
Does it
mostly
have to be
proven that
4?
elephants find us cute. I love that. What do we need? One more out?
I think so. Careful. Shit. Bye-bye.
It's a good thing we're surrounded by water.
Yeah. Good night! Love you too! Sorry, I'm being told good night. Silly geese, don't you know it's morning?
Me too, bud.
Is he upset?
Yeah. Shut the fuck up, whale.
So real. You're not my son. Can I push them? Can I kill them? Can I?
I don't know. I know I hit one and it didn't attack me. But at the same time, maybe it couldn't.
Huh.
So they can fight back?
I think so, yeah. Hey, August, do you want to be really nice to me? Thank you, August.
Look at you.
I'm blue.
A
I'm
big
blue.
specter. Oh, that brings back memories. Memories of a time when I was a bee.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Back in your B days.
Back in my bee days.
Haha. Get it? B days.
I was a bee. And you were just a wee little phantom.
Was horrible news.
Oh.
Thou can't die. Thou can't die. Thou can't die. I told you thou can't die.
Are you spouting incantations?
Mayhaps. Some days I do, some days I don't. What is it?
I'm gonna leave the elephant to you.
Thanks.
I feel like he's in a good place.
Yeah. I'll get an up here in a moment.
Yeah. In the meantime, I'm going to finish the house. Oh my god. The tiger is getting closer and closer to the front of my house.
So do you want to hear all I learned about elephants at my elephant school?
I would love to.
So with the elephants, you can only tame baby tusker elephants. Now there is a difference between these tusker elephants and normal elephants. Because they all do have tusks. It's the size of their tusk that is important.
Mhm.
So what is your what?
Oh, he's holding a flower. Oh, never mind. He's gone.
Oh,
Enderman just appeared with a flower in hand and then he just dipped. Apparently he's got a date.
he does. But you can tame non-tusker elephants unless they're babies.
Yep.
Or you can tame oh
Oh
my
my
lion
tiger, actually.
and bears. Oh my.
Oh my. Oh, he's looking at me. It's okay. I'll fight him. Wah!
Oh my god.
It's okay. My bed's right here.
He's looking at me now, and I don't like it.
Oh yeah, he definitely wants some. I'm willing to do this because my death knowledge is increasing.
Yeah.
I'm also getting rid of a pest. So. Oh, got him! Ooh, I got presents. Please be new seeds. Fuck! It's just grave dust!
Oh.
That's so upsetting. What did I still need? Oh, I still needed stuff. Oh, are you gonna tie him up?
Yeah.
Smart.
Oh, do you have the rope? Yeah. I have 4 crafting tables.
I think I have 3, maybe.
Yeah, 4, because I keep, like, going out and being like, oh, I need a crafting table now.
I have a maple one that I stole from one of the portal guys,
Yeah.
and then I have 2 regular ones.
You know what sucks?
Hmm.
The fact that the elephant you sit 4 blocks tall on the elephant, so when you drop, you take a bit of damage.
Oh, that's kind of obnoxious, honestly.
It is.
Oh, Flower Man's inside the house. Hello. I thought you had a hot date. What's going on?
Shut him up.
Oh. That's upsetting.
So sorry for him.
Mm-hmm. He didn't deserve that.
Mm-mm.
You said he got stood up, and so did Queen.
Huh?
You said he got stood up, and so did Queen.
Oh.
Nice. Settling in.
Yeah.
Nice.
Shit. I keep trying to just access the backpack by pressing, like, Shift E on it instead of, what I actually have it bind to. Because that's how I access it when it's on my back.
How do you wear it, by the way?
Shift E. Conveniently. Because when it's on, it doesn't take up a backpack slot or like a armor slot or whatever. Same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's nice. I like it.
Ow! Little bastard. Can you chop down one of these dark oak trees for me while I go and get spruce?
Sure.
For you.
The pink ones are the spruce one, yeah.
Yep.
Or dark oak, sorry, same thing.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's a jungle sapling?
Hmm?
Your trees are a jungle sapling.
That's weird.
Yeah. Well, I found a jungle sapling from them. So,
Interessante.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
I come back and he's just spazzing out.
Look, he has anxiety and he's in a new place. It's a
I'm
bit
not
scary
judging.
for him.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying it's kind of funny to come back to. That's all.
Oh, where are you?
Above you.
Oh, okay. God damn it.
What?
Picked up my bedding again.
Hello.
Here you
Okay.
Can't wait to farm. I'm so hyped for farming.
Me too.
I need my boys to get on so we can farm. The ones I must home with. Gosh.
Fuck.
You live in the Skylands. I don't know. I'm debating where I should, like, travel.
Mm. Honestly, the majority of what I've seen of the world is savannah and jungle.
Really?
Yeah. There's some
I have a lot of flower forests,
yeah,
so I might
that
go
too.
there.
Flower forest, plains. There was shrubland. Um
I found somewhere I want to go to. I don't know what's there, but I want to go there.
fair.
I
Me and
just
the
marked it
boys are
as
getting
here.
ready to farm.
Hell yeah. I know. I will let you free reign at when you're older and we have a home. But we're nomads. I know. It's insane.
You can make him a pen that he can like
Yeah,
roam around
I
in.
will. Yeah, it'll be nice and big. And I'll give him all the acacia saplings he wants.
Aw.
There we go.
Christopher Columbus said that one, and look how that turned out. Oh shit. Oh, damn it, I need.
What are you doing?
Stare.
Come on.
Fly, get out of my house.
I like how your area turns the leaves pink.
No matter what tree it is. It's like, oh, new tree? Pink.
Yeah, I just placed down acacia leaves and they got pinked.
Yeah. I mean, there's what are they? There's some mangrove trees up here that I brought up here, and they're pink.
Ooh, that must be pretty.
Yeah. If you look, I think they're behind the house. I thought I had some stairs, but I guess not. Whatever.
He just ate the leaves. Come on. Ooh, yeah, they are. I wish they were more like a luscious pink than a
Yeah.
pale pink. Not even pale, it's like,
It's almost like a
I don't know how
maroonish
to.
pink.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. But it doesn't have like vibrancy.
Mm-mm.
Is your place just constant snow or?
No. It's the what's it called? It's the season.
Uh,
It's late autumn, so we're getting there.
uh. Oh my gosh, this little forest next to your place is so cute though. So good.
Mm-hmm. Sir, calm down. This is a little bit of an odd thing I've done here.
Damn it.
What?
I was trying to get cobblestone and it just ended up turning it all to obsidian.
Oh.
So it's so cute over here. I might live over in this area over here because it's really nice. Kind of like it. I think the only problem I foresee is mobs.
Oh, where are you? Dark Forest?
Yeah.
Mm. It's weird. We get a fair amount of mobs up here, too.
Oh yeah. Probably because oceans should be spawning mobs technically, but
True.
you kind of can't because ocean.
Yeah.
I'll bookmark this area and see opinions from then.
Ah! Man in my house.
Oh, frightening. Hate
Mhm.
it when that happens. I'm like, hey, you're not supposed to be here, and they're like, I'm a man in your house. I'm like, what the fuck?
Literally. Alright. The roof is done. The upstairs is very dark, but I have lots of light fixtures that I can throw in, so I'll be able to fix that in a moment. Ooh.
What the fuck? I thought I set my spawn over there. I'm gonna cry.
Would you use the little bed you had upstairs?
Yeah.
That doesn't set your spawn.
Oh my god, I forgot.
Here, hold on.
Thanks, August.
You're welcome. Oh, you motherfucker. Get out of my upstairs. Stupid. Can't see.
Oh, thank god.
There we go. Why, what was up?
For a moment, I thought that me touching my backpack as a ghost made it disappear. Because I completely forgot that it would just put it on my back. So I just thought it just poof disappears. And I got so fucking scared. Like how when I'm not streaming, I like won't die and I'll be just fine. But once I start streaming, it's death all over the place. Like I was on here earlier with 0 death. Like it was insane.
I think your elephant just agreed.
Yeah. Well, at least my death bookmarked it for me. Yeah, I think mobs are the only issue in this area, because
That's good.
it's really cute. It's a nice mushroom forest.
Hell yeah.
And you know how I feel about the mushroom forests.
Mm-hmm. Sir, please calm down.
Huh?
We just want our hat back. That is amazing. That is so fucking funny.
Anyways, like I said, I don't die unless I'm streaming. It was one of those fucking bone serpents. Holy shit, you have diamond
That's
on
what.
the side of your house.
What?
You've diamond on the side of your house.
Diamond? What?
You know where I keep jumping off? There's diamond. August, did you know your place spawns diamonds?
No. Hold on, I'm coming. Ooh, Inferium. Hold on. What are you? Are you down below?
Yeah. No, kind of. I guess they're really mean.
What do you mean, kind of? Are you down below the island?
Okay, hold on, August. Now that I'm back, come here.
Uh-huh.
So I run over this way.
Hold on, I'm eating, because me trying to figure out where you were almost got me killed by a creeper.
I run over this way, and then I do one of these, and there's diamond.
What the fuck? Hold on, I have an iron pick. I'm gonna get it. That's so
I do
fucking
put the
wild.
goddamn skellywags.
That's so funny that those things are called skellywags.
And they are fucking aggressive. So just a quick note about when you are down that area, perhaps don't be. Because they wreck your fucking day, night, everything.
Did I use both of them? I must have. Oh well, I have more iron. It's not like my iron supply is crazy, but I have some. Sticks. So are you just trying to get your stuff and it's killing you?
Yeah, they were.
Aw. That's dookie.
They suck. They're bitches.
Thank you for spotting that.
No problem. I'm really cool.
Oh, that was your elephant. I was like, what the fuck just made that noise?
Yeah, mubby.
That was a terrifying noise. Holy fuck.
Your island also spawns lapis.
That I believe. That makes sense.
Oh, are you at the level for when it rains, you just get snow instead?
Probably. I am up in the sky. Hey, Tifa! It's going great. Thank you for asking. How you doing?
You have a hawk or a bald eagle?
I do not. Is there a bald eagle nearby?
Yeah,
Oh. Can you tame those? I know there's a
I don't
falconry
know.
glove.
Mayhaps.
I know you have to use the falconry glove for other things.
Probably a falcon.
Is there a falcon? There's
I
gotta
don't
be a
know.
falcon for the falconry glove. I really want to have like a whole bird place with like hummingbirds and shit in it.
Ooh.
I know that you can make like a hummingbird feeder, which is
Mm-hmm.
why I grabbed some sunflowers. Because I'm hoping, even though I'm up here and not in a place where there are hummingbirds, maybe they'll come. Hmm. What is that? Shoebill.
Platypus.
Bald eagle. Uh, they can be tamed
How?
with fish oil.
Mm.
To start with falconry, one needs to craft the falconry glove. This glove can be used to pick up eagles and hold them in hand. To launch an eagle
Oh.
from the hand, simply punch.
Oh.
If launched while staring at a mob, the eagle will fly to this mob, attack, and if it survives, return to the hand.
Oh. How
You,
fun.
you can improve your falconry skill by making a falconry hood. Wow.
Then can they sit on your head or something?
I think the hood goes on the eagle
Oh.
because I think like with actual falcons, they wear like a little hood, and I think it's supposed to help like keep them calm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Another emo.
Oh, void worm. Bun fungus. Hmm. I forgot I really wanted a sugar glider. You can find those in the birch forests.
Ooh. Oh shit, you do have hummingbirds up here.
Do I? Hold on. How do I make a hummingbird feeder? Do I have the stuff for it? Copper ingots, glass bottle, sunflower. I have copper ingots, I think. I could have sworn I got copper ingots from that village. Why do I feel like I'm missing things? This is very confusing. Um Bro, your elephant's losing it.
Is he okay?
Every once in a while he just like screeches like he's terrified.
Like I said.
Anxiety.
Mm-hmm. The doctors just won't listen to me.
They never do.
I sit with them and I'm like, I'm telling you, I have anxiety. He does too. And they're like, no.
They're like, he's an elephant.
Yeah, and I'm like, look, here are his behaviors. And they're like, no, 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 no. You are fucking weird. And I'm like, no, no,
No.
I'm right. And they're like, they just mouth at me. And I'm like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't have everything I need for the hummingbird feeder, but I'll have to go get one at some point. For the little cuties.
Hi.
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 Hi. I lit your candles upstairs.
Ooh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. It keeps my bed nice and toasty.
Yeah, burn out there, motherfucker. Am I stupid? Did I leave a chest out there? I did. Okay, that explains things then. I'm sitting here like, why am I missing things? Because I didn't pick up a whole ass chest. Herpaderpader. Man died right in front of me. And I laughed.
What a silly goose. What?
Queen goes, bro, my lollipop just slid off the stick and into my mouth.
What?
What pro moves?
I just got ridiculously tired. So,
Gonna hit the hay?
yeah.
Okay.
Because it's late already. And my voice, I don't know if
Ow.
you can tell, but is absolutely dying.
I cannot.
Yeah. Good. Because it hurts, trust me. I'm glad it doesn't pick up, but my vocal cords feel raw. So, I probably need to sleep. Good night. Have a lovely rest of your stream.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you for the raid.
Bye.
Bye. Alright. Let's be sure to smack the hay properly. What does that mean? What are you telling me? I don't like that I can hear the spider outside. Oh, fancy. See, this makes so much more sense. Hit the hay. I get it now. I get it now. I'm a little slow sometimes. Okay. So, sir, I am trying to organize things. Can you stop that out there? Oh wait, I don't need these. These are the smithing tables that I grabbed and then I realized I didn't need them. So now I'm just stuck with them until someone comes and takes them from me. Okay, this is an empty chest. We're gonna throw this stuff in here. I definitely need to mark these very soon. There's something in here that I thought went into another chest. Oh, I know what it was, and I now reject that idea. Hay bales are gonna go in here. Put that in there. No, we'll break it. Why do I have this? Okay, these can go in here. I don't know why I have this fletching table. I need a chest for mod items. I have quite a few. Oh, one more Inferium Essence and I can make Inferium Seeds. Sexy! Leather cap. I'm cluttering my inventory. There's the pickaxe I was looking for and it was outside. I made another pickaxe for no reason. I'll need it eventually, but fuck. There we go. Alright, this one will be mob drops. I don't know why I'm moving them. Is that everything? Yes, but this is the wrong chest. Cool. Now we need one more chest. Well, we need more than one more, but... No! No! Okay, I got this. This one will be tools. Cool. Oh wait, zeolighter. Oh. That goes in the wood chest. This is gonna be the miscellaneous chest. I'm trying to organize it a bit. That's also wood. That goes in a different chest. I'll go in the building materials. Mine, paper, it's there, empty map. Building materials, okay. You're witnessing my process. Oh, such a good song. Oh, there's a whole ass empty chest up there. Cool. No. I was thinking about making colorful signs, but I still don't know how to make canvas. And also, I feel like it's a little bit of a waste for chests. That's a bit much. Just a bit much. Find a way to find yourself someday. In weakness and strength, change can be amazing. I wish you could be honest. I wish you could be honest. I wish you could be honest. Why'd you stick around? Why'd you stay with me? Cool. Some sense of organization so that I don't have to keep rifling through. We're gonna need to get sand ASAP. Okay, calm down out there. Sir, you are quite literally phasing through my wall. If you could scooch just a little bit, please. I understand that your dad's not home, so you think you can act however you'd like, but please. I'm liking how the upstairs is looking. I'm hoping there's enough room up here that I can throw the enchanting table up here. I feel like I should be able to, right? Just over in this corner. And still be able to, like, walk by unimpeded. And then, because 8's not planning on living here forever, I figure I'll either put the portal over here, even though I feel like that'd be a little bit cramped, or I'll throw the portal outside and just decorate the surroundings. And I don't know, I feel like that'd probably be safer as well. Just so, I don't know, just so we're not dealing with anything walking through the house. Oh my god, the nether too. I didn't even think about that. I'm gonna have to deal with my nemesis, the drop bear. Fucking drop bears are pains in the asses. Stupid fucker. Anyway, they're the biggest pains in the asses. Literally such assholes. Like, I wish I could say I was joking. If you don't know what a drop bear is, they're a nice little thing brought to us by Alex's mobs that literally stays up on the ceiling and then drops down and smacks you and beats the fuck out of you. I hate them. Because right when you think they're going to stay up on the ceiling, they drop down and hit you in the lava. Fucking hate them. There's also the Nether's own version of a bone serpent that is a pain in the ass. So, there's that. Alright, we just need some sand. We'll make some glass and stuff, and then we will get to work on our whatchamacallit. Oh my god, these seagulls. We'll get to work on our greenhouse. Don't know why that was eluding me for a second there, but eat the raccoon. Oh my god, I wish I had an egg for you to clean. You could be mine. Fuck. Is there a village over here? Shit. Oh, there is. Ooh, fuck. I'm also gonna kill a couple of these guys so that I can work on making a backpack. Oh shit, spicy. Oh fucking, there's a baby. Let me not be stupid and not pay attention to where I'm going. I can't wait until I'm home so I can see my animals. I'm going home Tuesday. Anyway, I'm going home Tuesday. And not that home is great for me, but I'd love to see my animals. I'm starting to get a cold sore on my lip. Right there. And I can't wait to be home where we have like the quickest fucking remedy for a cold sore ever. I don't even remember what the pills are called. Lysine. I've literally been trying to remember those for days. I can't believe I remembered it so quick. Lysine pills. We have lysine pills at home. And there's a cat. Oh my god, I could get a cat. Anyway, we have lysine pills at home, and I'm most definitely going to be taking some and getting rid of this as soon as possible. Ooh, more tomato seeds. I'm definitely growing some tomatoes. I don't remember what you can use tomatoes for. Let me look it up, actually. I also need to look up, I think there's something you can make a bell with, so I'm going to take this bell. So I have an extra bell. Ooh, rotten tomato. Anyway, tomato. Ooh, barbecue on a stick, bacon sandwich. I think this is, that and corn are the only two things I have so far. I don't have cabbage. Oh, I have onion. Pasta, huh? How do you make pasta? Wheat dough. Ooh, dude, I'm gonna be such a cook. Such a little chef. I'm gonna make a whole little fucking kitchen, bro. Oh, look at that little house all the way down there by itself. That guy said, "Leave me the fuck alone." And I feel that on a personal level. Oh, okay, it's the smithing table. I don't need one, so I came down here for nothing. That's okay. I'm loading in chunks, so. There's a little bit of sand over here, I think. I think that's what I'm seeing on the map. Even if it's a little bit, I'll take it. Unless that's snow. That better not be snow. I don't see why it would be, but... Oh, that's cool. Oh, I had like a weird little hiccup while I was speaking. That's cool. Water coming in. This is a good amount. Because, like, I don't know how much I'm going to need of glass, but I know I'm going to need bottles and stuff. Like, I need bottles for the hummingbird feeder. And I need glass, obviously, for the windows. Let's kill them. Let's get them to kill each other, actually. But we got this. Oh, they see me. They see me eating before I battle. Okay, we go. Oh my god, why did that sound weird? We got this. Oh fuck, I don't have a shield, actually. Let's run. I was like, oh yeah, we got this. I don't have a fucking shield, dipshit. I've done this every other time with a shield. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. I'm so fucking stupid. Yeah, hold on. Let me just fucking fight you with no shield and do the thing I've done every other time with no shield. Jesus. In case you didn't know, you can get them to shoot each other and essentially get the banner just by not fucking fighting. But I was about to do that with no shield, which is the most dumbass fucking thing I think I've ever attempted to do. Just gonna get this for the greenhouse. I don't know if I replanted. I don't think I replanted the trees that I chopped down up there. Oh well, it's a good thing I said that because then it just gave me a sapling that I need. So that's good. Oh god, that's a seagull. I just heard a seagull. Oh no, that's a crow. Apparently I don't know noises. Shit. Okay, I think we landed somewhere over here. So. Yeah, because we landed like as far away from literally everything as we could. Like as far away from the house. I don't know where I put the boat though. I keep looking at the map because there's a little bit of brown or something on the beach. But that might just be. Oh yeah, that's just tree. Okay. Oh wait. Oh wait, is this the shipwreck that 8 saw? I don't know where things would be in here. I can't like mentally see the layout. Oh, fuck. Well, that's not the layout, that's for sure. Well, that's helpful. I'm pretty sure I landed somewhere around here. Wait, is that my boat? Nope. Here it is. Okay. Home! There it is. I kind of want to put a dock down here for my boats. Just so they're not, like, getting pulled under again. It's such a cool detail, having all that under there. I could have sworn I needed the bell for something. Can't remember what though. Whoa! Hi, buddy. I'm back. Yeah. Fuck, yeah. Can you get out of my house? I'm gonna put this over here because I feel like it would be in building materials, but I'm almost positive I need it for a crafting recipe. My scroll wheel wouldn't scroll. Doesn't go in the blast furnace. The more you know. Get out of my house. I definitely need to go get more coal and just go on a mining expedition in general. My lights turned off. They're set to turn off at 11 because every other night I would, be going to bed. Well, not going to bed, but like getting ready for bed. So. Alright, so. Backpack. What do we need for a backpack? Jesus, a diamond. That'd be so fucking wild. What about just a standard backpack? 4 leather. A chest. A sleeping bag. Yeah. It's a thing. So we have that done. And then the chest. I just want to have some of the stuff done, even if I can't do like the things, Glass and iron ingots. Okay. So how do you do like a spider backpack? 4 string. I don't know if I'd want to do that one. What one would I want to do? Cactus. The redstone one looks really cool, actually. Oh, they have special abilities. I don't particularly care about the ability, though. +2 armor? That's cool. That's fucking expensive. Nether Traveler's Backpack? That makes sense. That one's pretty cool. I kind of like the pumpkin one. Pumpkin one's kind of sick. Melon. I like the hay one as well. I could do the hay one easy peasy. Although, I think I'm sold on the spider one. Do I have enough for that? I don't. What is this spider I'm hearing? Ooh, yes. Wait, is that enough? It is! Yo! Let's go! 1 Inferium seed! Hell yeah. Woo! Okay. That's exciting. Oh, the fox one would be really cool. How do you even make that? 4 orange wool and 4 sweet berries. Oh, wait, I could do that. That one would be really cute. I kind of want to do the fox one. Or the wolf one. The fox or the wolf one? Oh fuck, I'm so I'm so torn. Oh, I really want a really cool backpack. The dragon and Enderman one are really, really cool, but I'm kind of leaning more toward. Ooh, the bookshelf one's really cool. But I'm really leaning toward like the fox, the wolf. I really want the spider. Or, no, I don't. No, I don't. I was gonna say I really want it, but now that I think about it, I don't think I do. How would you do the bat one? Oh, you can make it. You have to find it. That's cool. So that's like a limited edition. That's really cool. That one looks kind of weird. Gotta say, the Nether Traveler's backpack looks really fucking sexy. Too bad I'm not gonna get it before I go to the Nether. I feel like I like the wolf one better. I don't have enough stuff for it though. Trying to think about upstairs too, but we'll probably need more. Okay. Okay, so making the backpack isn't gonna be a priority. It'll be like a side quest, I think. We'll work on it. So just anytime we see a spider, we'll kill it. Or not a spider, a skeleton. So that we can get those bones. And in the meantime, I'll put the stuff for it in here. Put them right there. But that'd be really handy just so I can have more inventory space. Damn, our house is almost finished. That's exciting. I think this area, even though it's kind of like right here, so we'd have to move around it. No. I was gonna say I'll put stuff here. But I think what I'm gonna do, there's probably gonna be a little bit of movement going on. I'll probably move things around. I'm gonna move this stuff around probably, I think, over here. Actually, let's do that. We'll move this stuff over here. This area is gonna be like a little kitchen. Just to be aesthetic, because I can. There we go. And then we'll have 2 cauldrons there eventually. This will be like a little kitchen area, and we can have stuff there once we get into the cooking things. Yeah, see, like there's a whole ass stove. There's a bunch of food and things like that. So there's gonna be designated stuff over here. Yeah. So it's gonna be a lot. So I want to have like a whole designated kitchen. I think there is. We even have like furniture mods in here. Got furnish. So it's got a bunch of stuff. So I definitely want to put some of that stuff in the house. I'm not gonna furnish the hell out of the house, but I know that there's because I put one at spawn. I know there's a fridge, so I want to have one of the Mr. Crayfish's fridges, here to help fill the space. Probably some cabinets, some of that shit. So whether that's from Mr. Crayfish's or furnish, doesn't really matter. Just a little kitchen area, you know. So do that eventually, but for now, it won't be a priority. It kept looking like it wasn't placed properly, so I was tripping out a little bit. Perfect. Now we're finally closed up. Now we can think of it as, like, there's no more giraffes. We're gonna have to get more sand. Calm down. We're gonna have to get more sand for the greenhouse, but I'll probably do that off camera. Just so I can go further away. I see there's, like, a spot there, too. But I know 8's gonna live over there, so I don't want to fuck up 8's area. But yeah. I'll probably go... I know I TP'd earlier down this way. But I did that mostly just to speed up time. But I'll probably use the waystones. Now that we have a waystone here, I'll probably use the waystones to go back to spawn and get some of the sand over here. But yeah, so I'll do that off stream and get a bunch of sand for our greenhouse. The greenhouse is going to be the same layout as it was before, but I'll probably have like a couple different greenhouses for different things. I just didn't make this one bigger because of the area, so... Oh my god. Fucking seagull. I was looking around because I thought I saw a hummingbird. Give me my fucking food back, stupid. I'm trying to get more of these because I need more saplings just around. Speed up this process so much. There we go. I think we have everything we need for the thing. For a second I got scared. I was like, why is it dark? Let me look actually. Hummingbird feeder. Yeah, we have everything we need. Sir, please. I'm just gonna use some wood to smelt this because I don't want to waste a piece of coal on it since we're so low on coal. I might go mining off stream as well, just to get some more supplies. I'm so unbelievably excited for this. Like, I should not be as excited as I am for a hummingbird feeder. Ah! Sugar in water. Oh my god. Alright, how do I... Ah! Oh my goodness. Yee! That's so cute! I want to put some candles down here. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna use that. Cute. I don't know how I feel about the red candles. I don't care. They're cute. Okay. Probably not the best weather for a hummingbird, but oh well. Not much I can do about it. Actually, what season is it? Late autumn. 2 more days and it will be winter, early winter. Alright, let's hit the hay. And then I think that'll be it for the stream. Just because for the most part, a lot of the rest of the stuff that I have to do is going to be off-stream stuff. Like, it's just going to be collecting things, so it's going to be pretty mundane. And I don't want you guys to have to sit through that, so yeah. Like, I'm just going to go and collect a bunch more wood and things like that. A lot of the stuff that you saw me do when I was working on this previously, yeah. I mean, truth be told, I haven't completely started on this yet, so I might scrap it. Or even, like, I might expand the area just so I can make it bigger. Because we don't have as much liberty as we had with the previous area. Like, we can only go so far deep. So if I wanted to do what I did with the previous greenhouse, where I go deep underground to have several layers, I can only do so much of that before I break through. And I'm just beneath the fucking island. So I might like break through this hill. Like completely get rid of this hill and expand it this way, and also possibly expand it that way. We'll see. But that's a lot of digging, things like that, and to be honest, I am kind of at a point where like I have enough energy to keep gaming, but not enough energy to talk while I do it. And like keep up enough of a conversation you guys will be, I don't know what I just saw from a distance. But not enough energy to keep up like a conversation and keep you guys entertained. So, yeah. I also want to do some like um let me show you guys this. I want to do some stuff when it comes to like not stuff, but I want to do some looking into as far as what was it? Way pad? No, wait, no. It was something having to do with the Waystones mod. Waystone. Here it is. Warp plate. I wanted to look into making warp plates and see if I could maybe start working toward that, because the difference between I put a waystone at spawn specifically so people wouldn't have to make um their own like uh waypoints or whatever. I think I just saw a spider climb up a tree. Anyway, so I put a waystone at spawn so people could use that to go back to spawn. But while I was doing that, because I was in creative mode making spawn area, I found this warp plate, and I'll go into creative to quickly showcase this in case you've not ever played with the Waystones mod. The warp plate, I was fucking around with it because I was like, whoa, what is this thing? The warp plate lets you teleport between two places by using these attuned shards, right? You place a warp plate at these two spots. You take the shards from each of the two spots, and it says insert the shard into a warp plate. You take the shard from one warp plate, you place it into whatever warp plate you want to go to, right? And you can tell the colors are different. See how that one was green? This one's orange. So I swapped them. All right? Now, if I stand on this one, so it teleports you. And the difference between this and the Waystones is the Waystones cost experience. I think it costs 3 XP per per Waystone. So if I wanted to go from here, if I want to go, let me fix it. There we go. From here, Bramerses, the village over here closest to me, to spawn, that would take 3 XP, and then coming back, that would take another 3. And like a basic rule in Minecraft is that you lose XP when you die. And I think you're supposed to lose all of it. Luckily, because we have that death mod, the tombstones, you can get the bonus thing that makes it so you only lose 50% of your levels. I got that, so I'm fine. But if you don't get that, then you're losing your levels, and then you can't use the Waystones. And obviously, a lot of us are really fucking far away from each other. Like, Lillie is almost 3,000 meters away from me. Who was I thinking? Queen is, what, 5,000 meters away from spawn, let alone from me. 8's right near me, but 8's gonna be staying near me. Like, we just got lucky in that regard. Like, 8's gonna be right over here. But, like, for the most part, everyone's gonna be super far away. It's not gonna be convenient to use the Waystones. So I want to look into making warp plates. And if I can make the warp plates, I want to see if I can make them at everybody's houses to make it nice and easy for everybody to come and go. But yeah, so they just require making these warp stones and warp dust. And they require ender pearls, emeralds, dye, and amethyst shards. And I haven't found an amethyst geode yet. So, oh, hello. Actually, let me go back into, hold on. Let me go back into this. Oh, I have that. I'm gonna have to chuck that off. I'm taking your leads. for my own personal gain. Also, sir, hello, do you have anything for me? He has a sombrero! I don't think, I definitely do not have that many emeralds, hold on. No, I have 16. Fuck. Oh, I used some of my emeralds to get the zeal lighter. The zeal lighter I did this off stream. There's a, we also added this mod called Blue Skies, because I added mods to give us, like, better armor. So I was like, oh, if I'm gonna make this better armor, then I better add a dimension that has bosses and stuff. So I added Blue Skies, and there's these two different dimensions with it. Right here. Ooh, yay, Inferium. Anyway, two different dimensions with it, Ever Bright and Ever Dawn. And there are two different portals for each. There's obviously the Ever Bright portal and the Ever Dawn portal, and you can find a villager that will. There, I think it's called. He's called something specific. It says it, I think. No. General. Gatekeeper. So you can buy this book from the Gatekeeper, and then you can buy a Zeal lighter from the Gatekeeper, and the Zeal lighter is how you light the portals. So I bought this book, and then I lit the Everdawn portal. The Everdawn portal is really, really close to spawn. We also found an Everbright portal, but we haven't lit it yet. There's also like a big difference between the two portals, and they're like perspective dimensions. But I spent a bunch of emeralds getting the thing from him. I think I spent 8 emeralds getting the lighter from him, because you can't light it with a regular flint and steel. So, oh, he has slime balls. I really want that sombrero. Damn it! I'm gonna kill you because I'm pissed that I can't get that sombrero. Oh, this is perfect. See, yeah. See, it retains experience on death. I also have increases the chance of finding special items. That was the first one I got, I think. So I have a better chance of getting like enchanted books and shit from dead people. Improves grave key. I don't know what that does. Improves incantation with magic items. Improves stealth speed and reduces range detection. Compendium. Wait. No. Configuration. Choose. I can choose my grave. Hold on. Oh, turning it up. Oh, I can feel it in my brain. Just as I should. so good. Oh, another good one. My alignment. I want that to go right here. Hola! Hola, buenas noches. Oh, it's morning. Okay. Oh, I didn't look around for skeletons. Damn. Such a good song. Such a good song. Also, I love that I was complaining about how little coal we have, but there's literally little pieces of coal all over the island. How fucking stupid am I? That's some stupid bullshit. Also, estoy bien, ¿y tú? I need your bones! Yeah! Oh. I need a new one. Ah! Okay, there we go. No, that's not where that goes. Whoops. Okay. I have enough. Oh yeah, I have enough. It's so hard to bop when your arms are completely occupied. Tall boy. Damn. Damn, what is that elephant doing? Yeah, I'm definitely taking that down and doing a new one. Okay. Cool. Right, now we can stop. I wanted to get rid of those trees just so I had the stuff. Um. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. And then replant.